Hello, boys and girls. I hope everyone is doing well and enjoying their time together with their family. And I hope that the online learning is going well for you and you're finding your way around the websites. I am going to be reading a nonfiction book today. Nonfiction means that it's a book about things that are real and it has facts in it. So it is true statements that I'll be telling you about today. And the book is called Brown Bear or Black Bear. It is by Heather Warren and Robbie Byerly. This is a brown bear. This is a black bear. But some black bears are brown and some brown bears are black. How can you see if it is a brown bear or a black bear? Well, here is how. They're going to give us some facts on how to tell the difference. A brown bear is big. If you look at the white line here, most kindergartners would be about as tall as his ears. So your head would be about right here on that bear. So even when he's standing on all four paws, you would not be taller than this bear. However, a black bear is not as big. So if you look at this black bear in the line next to it, this top of the line is by his ears. And if that black bear came walking into my classroom or any of our classrooms, it would be about as tall as the top of one of your chairs. So he's not nearly as big as this guy. A brown bear looks like this, and he has a hump, and then his back goes down a little bit, and then he's got another smaller hump. The black bear looks like this. This is the word back. The word back is here also, and the brown bear has just a hump, one part of a, looks like part of it, the top part of a circle, but he has just one hump. The black bear has two. So this guy has a nice smooth back, and this guy's back is a little lumpy. A brown bear has little ears. The ears look like this, and you can just barely see them sticking up over his head. Not very big. A black bear has big ears. The ears look like this. Look at how big that is. Kind of looks like an upside down letter U. But you can see how these ears don't hardly stick up over his head. And these ears are great big and they pop up over his head. Brown bears have big paws. Look at those. That's a humongous paw. If you look at the black bear, and it says black bears have little paws, his paws just aren't nearly as big as those brown bear paws. Brown bears like to eat it says lots of fish. He's got a trout in his mouth there. Black bears like to eat berries and honey. That doesn't mean that black bears don't eat meat, because they do. They just like to eat a lot of berries and honey mostly. And the brown bears like mostly fish. Brown bears like to go in the water. I see a mom and a baby here playing. Black bears like to go in trees. If you look at this guy's face, He looks kind of scared to be in the tree, but I think he looks pretty young, so he's just learning. Good for him for getting all the way up there. What do brown bears and black bears do? So now we're going to talk about what do they do that is the same. One thing that looks like they do is they play. This guy looks like he's doing yoga, and this guy has his hand over his mouth like he said something wrong and he shouldn't have. Well, all the bears make a home either here or here. So they live either in the forest or they live in the grasses near water. And that's something that all of them do. They sleep in the winter. It's not winter yet. This guy's outside still, but it looks like he's got his hand over his face like he's trying to get a good nap going on there. And they have their babies in the winter too. So they have to eat a lot in the fall to get enough food in their tummies for the winter. And then the moms have their babies when they go into dens or maybe caves, and they hibernate, which means they stay in there all winter. And the babies, when they're born, they will eat a lot of as much milk as they can while they're safe in their den or their cave. So then when it's spring, they can come out. And they're a little bit bigger. Baby bears live with mom. They do not live with dad. Baby bears will live with mom for over a year. So that's all bears. The babies live with their moms when they're born, not with the dads. And they live with their moms for about a year before they go off and go on their own. Can you see if this is a brown bear or a black bear? Well, what do you think? I'm going to give you a second to pause this and talk to your moms or dads or whoever's with you and see if you can decide which one is a black bear and which one is a brown bear. Okay, well, I was looking at them, and this one has one big hump, and his ears are pretty big there. I think that is a black bear. This one I see 1, 2 humps, and his ears aren't nearly as big as this one, so I'm pretty sure that's a brown bear. This one, again, little ears, 2 humps, looks like a brown bear. This one has, I think the biggest telling sign on this one is his big old ears, because they sure are sticking up like this one. His hump isn't nearly as big. It looks like the fur sticking up here, but the biggest thing about this one is his big old ears. This shows where bears are living right now. And Texas is right here, just above this bear. So we don't have really bears that live in Texas so much. But up here in Canada and Alaska and North America, they have quite a few bears. And in parts, this is another part of the world, it's Asia and a little bit of Europe. They have not a lot of bears. It looks like there's maybe more here, but they have bears also. Over here, these are the bear body parts. We have the bear ears, the bear eyes, his nose, they sometimes call that a snout. They have his mouth, his legs, his paws, and his claws. And those rhyme, paws and claws. If you look, they're spelled the same. They're from the same word family of AW. So let's talk a little bit now about how brown bears are different than black bears. One of the first things we know about brown bears is that brown bears are big. So let's write brown bears are big. If you remember, I'll show you quickly in the book. It says a brown bear is big, a black bear is not as big. Because remember, you would not be as tall as the brown bear, but you would be taller than a black bear. So we know black bears are not as big as brown bears. Okay. Now, one of the other things that we learned about was their ears. And we know that a brown bear has little ears, a black bear has big ears. So we know brown bears have little ears, and black bears I forgot to write the word bear here. Black bears have big ears. So the thing that's interesting to me here is brown bears are big. Brown bears have little ears. That's the opposite. So if you have a big bear with little ears, you know that that's a brown bear. Here we have, it says, black bears are not as big as little bears. So their ears are great big and they are smaller than the other bears. So we have smaller bears, bigger ears. So if you have a smaller bear with big ears, probably a black bear. We also know that brown bears like to eat lots of fish. Black bears like to eat berries and honey. So brown bears they eat lots of fish. Black bears eat lots of berries and honey. Okay, so now there are some ideas on how they're a little bit different, but how are they the same? Well, one thing we know is said that they sleep in the winter. So both bears sleep in the winter. That's one thing we know they both do the same. The other thing that they talked about is both bears have babies in the winter. So both bears have babies in the winter. Now, what's cool about these circles is that if you look at the things that the book talked about, the black or the brown bears, all the stuff on the brown bears is on this side of the circle. The black bears, everything about the black bears is on this side of the circle. But I did notice that the circles go together in the middle, right here. So the information that they share, that both bears share, they also share the middle part. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble getting this together so it's just right. But right here is where both bears, you can see how they have things that are the same. So that is some of the facts about brown bears and black bears. And then on the back of that book, on the back cover, they have a silly picture of it looks like he has little ears. I'll bet that's a brown bear. But remember, this is the front cover of the book that has the title and it has the authors. And if there were illustrations in here, we would say who the pictures were by. But we have the front cover, we have the spine, and we have the back cover of the book. So I hope you liked learning about bears, and I hope you have a good rest of the day, and I hope to see you next week. Bye now.